Good morning, everybody. So day 3. So the campsite I stopped off at last night didn't end up being as restful as I thought and hoped. Not long after I put the tent up, I heard cows in the distance. So I went and explored the area just to make sure it was safe. And there were some cows not far up the field from where I'd camped. So I decided that they're not really aggressive animals as such, cows, but they can be quite territorial, but also very clumsy and a bit stupid. So I wasn't sure if they'd accidentally stand on me in my tent. So at 9 o'clock last night I had to take my tent up, pack everything up, and then go and find another camp spot. I ended up doing about an extra 1.5 miles, 2 miles last night. Wasn't ideal, but I found somewhere in the end and got past that. I ended up having to ring Joe and see if she'll come and get me in the camper van, and we ended up just camping on trail in the camper van. I think I won't be wild camping anymore. I think it's just, at the end of a long day, it's just not worth the hassle of not finding the right spot. And unfortunately for me, as you can see on the route I took down last night, and the distance was down that hill, I tried camping just at the top of it, just in like a little inlet, unbeknownst that there was cows in the valley below me, and they must have worked their way up. So then last night I had to come down that walkway that you can see, but it was completely not flat or anywhere sort of hidden in the corners where I'd be out of sight. So I've ended up pretty much being screwed. Got down the roadside, and again a lot of passing traffic. A farmer stopped me and said that it's not worth trying to wild camp here either. There's people wardens and things in the area that'll come and tell you to take your tent down no matter what time it is. So in the end I just decided, unfortunately, to do what I needed to do for myself. And I think there's a bit of a story in that, in terms of what we're doing, and never being afraid to say you're in a tricky position and you need help. And I know it sounds a bit cheesy, but that's what I kind of put myself into last night, into a difficult situation I couldn't really figure a safe way out of. So I reached out for help, and yeah, on reflection, I think if something, wild camping's frowned upon massively in this country. You can get away with it in certain areas, but I think because of on the back of that, there's just nowhere set up to wild camp on these sort of areas that are highly populated, like people coming through all the time. So lesson learned. The rest of the trail I'm going to book campsites, just make it safe, which does mean, because I did the extra few miles yesterday, I've got a short day today. So it's now about 9:30 in the morning. I should be at camp for 2-3 o'clock, and I can have a proper rest. As you can probably tell by my breath, I'm going uphill again. So just to the top of there today. Hopefully after that, relatively flat. So again, thanks for joining us, and I'll catch up with you all later.
Let the breath of spring warm your thoughts. With you and me and forget-me-nots. There's a photograph of you inside that can never leave this traveler's eyes.
Hello everybody. So I'm about 2 miles in today on day 3. It's Friday today. One of my friends has reached out, and I think it's pretty certain he's going to come out tomorrow and do a section with me, and some of Sunday as well, so that's absolutely brilliant. Being on my own now, unfortunately not quite as long as planned due to last night's soiree, let's call it. Issues, problems. I hope no one feels like I've not followed the challenge through. I didn't really have much other alternative really. It was It was about 11:30 last night before I actually even got close to getting settled in. It was very, very worrying at one point because I just thought I've got nowhere to go, and I did contemplate just cowboy camping at the side of the road, which is where you don't put your tent up. You just put your bag under your head and hope for the best. Sleep under a blanket of stars, as they say, which would have been lovely, but this time of the year in the UK, especially over a place like this, there's midges, our versions of mosquitoes, and for some reason horseflies have really took a fancy into me this year. So I'm getting devoured by horseflies on a regular basis. My legs are just constantly covered in little specks of blood. So that's nice. Just for those who've never watched my videos before, I know I did the last thing with Joe in America, but I think because this is a bit closer to home, there might be quite a few people who live locally watching it. So you've probably picked up by now, I don't really follow the usual YouTube phenomenon of my face being in the camera all the time, and there's nothing wrong with that. Whereas I've got a face for the radio, and probably anybody outside of the UK is watching these videos with subtitles on. So for me, I prefer to use the option of showing you what I'm seeing, and in terms of seeing the emotion in my face rather than just seeing my face in emotion, I try to use music for that. So whatever song you're listening to is either a song that feels appropriate at the time, or it pretty much sums up my emotions, mood, or what I'm going through. So listen to the words quite a lot of my songs, because a lot of the time they have been selected. If you're watching this and it shows you a bit like a situation now where I'm walking and there's absolutely no music, it's just dead silent, unfortunately that means, although I've bought the song, it's not always copyrighted, allowed to play on certain platforms, especially YouTube. So it could be that a week, a month, a year down the line it's picked up and the music's just removed. So if it is awkward silence at any point, if you want to let me know, that'd be great, because I can put a new song on, or either that or just understand that it wasn't supposed to be dead silent. But as you can see, again today there's hardly anyone around. I've just been speaking to two ladies that they're doing the coast to coast, which starts at the Lake District and works over to obviously from west to east. I can't remember where they said they're finishing today. So this little section I'm on today does cross with that, so you're more likely to see people. The difference with them and me is it's their last day tomorrow for most people, whereas for me tomorrow's about halfway. Sorry sheep, I didn't know you were there. Just frightening some sheep. So that's just a random pond in the middle of what feels like desert. This doesn't feel much different to when I was walking through California and the Mojave Desert, really. It's unbelievable for someone to call a part of the UK in any sort of comparison to a desert. But that's kind of what I feel like at the moment. So enough of waffle for me for now. I'll leave you to it and enjoy the music as always.
There will be a time for grace when the spoils are lost without a trace. Surrendering to a love that's pure will save the soul of a man unsure. will fall, but we will rise. We will fall, but we will rise. We will fall, but we will rise. There will be a time for grace when the spoils are lost without a trace. Surrendering to a love that's pure will save the souls of a man unsure. Will save the souls of a man.
Good afternoon, everybody. So, got about a mile left for day 3. Only, like I say, a short day today, just 10 miles. Much needed after yesterday. My feet are so hot and burning from obviously the heat outside, but also the miles so far. So, end of day 3, we've done 42 miles, I think, now. Not including dead miles where you come off trail to go to a camp, or in my case end up last night hunting around a camp somewhere. It's been amazing. The weather's been stunning. I've never actually seen the area up here and around here being as beautiful as it has been the last few days for me. It's absolutely overwhelming. Spent a lot of time around this area doing day hikes, just the odd 10-12 mile here and there, and like I say, I come over quite often with 2 of my friends and we do a midweek walk even, and then go and grab a beer and some tea together. And I just think it's really important to have social things away from your norm. I think that's the important thing, someone to talk to and just close the door on your work week really for a couple of hours. So as I say, I'm just coming up to a little village called Kildale. So it's very, very small. It's a tiny, tiny little village. So I'm gonna camp here for the night. I've camped at this campsite before. It's just really peaceful and quiet. And because I'm meeting my friend hopefully tomorrow, this is a really good point to meet him. So not only am I tired and need a rest, but also it's a good point for that really. So those who followed us in America will know what a Nero is. So today I'll be having a Nero where you have nearly a day off in the middle of your trail. So like I say, I'll get to camp for about 2 o'clock and then shower and just chill out. Hopefully they've got some cold water. So as you can see, my last half mile now is just through this little hedge, which is easy to miss. There is a sign, but it's obviously grown over a bit. So with that, I'm going to leave you all and catch up with you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye now.